What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to try and see just how big the Family Guy's extended universe actually is. First off, since Family Guy uses a lot of movie references and jokes and flashbacks, gags, it's got like reoccurring characters that are technically from other shows. I'm going to put in some ground rules as to what constitutes actually being connected, or this could honestly go on for a long time. So, rule number one. The characters have to be shown interacting with the main characters outside of a flashback or cutaway gag. 2. They have to be referenced or shown to be canon by the main characters. So if they're not, or if it's like a side character, it just doesn't count. 3. I'm not going to include things that appear on the TV or merchandise. You can just go ahead and assume there's similar shows within the universe, so they would just have similar merch. And 4, I'm only going to mention shows directly connected to the connected show. By that, I mean I'm not going to mention that show's broader universe unless it's directly connected to Family Guy. Basically, I'm going like one step into that extended universe, but I'm not going to go down the huge, long rabbit hole. It'll all make sense whenever we actually get into the video. Get through the rest of the housekeeping. I'm just going to be going over all the connections as we arrive, so I think that'll make things a little bit easier, go a little bit smoother, and get a little bit less convoluted. So, where do we begin? And I think the easiest place to actually begin is going to be the Cleveland Show. Cleveland is currently part of the main cast of Family Guy and was given his own spinoff for a little while following his adventures in his hometown of Stool Bend, Virginia. And that main cast cameo in the show quite a few times, and they even go to Stool Bend and reunite with him in Family Guy episodes. Though once his show was canceled, his family, as well as the characters from the show, kind of just seem to have fallen into the background or forgotten. It's really kind of a shame because they had all this character building just to be dumped, essentially. And the only other show we get introduced to us from in the Cleveland Show is actually King of the Hill. In the Cleveland Show, Hank Hill is seen to be in rehab with Cleveland for huffing propane. Since he lives in Arlen, Texas, the problem must have been fairly serious, and if you've ever watched King of the Hill, it's not really a surprise. But then Hank also appears in a cold open where he is dreaming about Family Guy and American Dad. Bobby Hill then appears in a joke where Stewie changes into him, which there's actually a bunch of characters Stewie shifts through there, so that's going to get referenced, but I'm not usually using that as like a firm basis. But the Hill family also attends a football game for that Bart Simpson was playing, but we're going to get there. Dale's truck is seen outside of Bob Burger's restaurant, Bob's Burgers, but I'll get to that as well, because the next easiest connected series we have is actually going to be American Dad. So American Dad connects really easily to Family Guy, with main characters making several cameos across episodes of both shows, as well as Meg ruining Roger's chance at returning home in one episode, and Peter and Cleveland meeting Stan when their houses were moved during a hurricane, which allows Roger from American Dad to actually segue us nicely into the next show on our list, making a cameo when the Griffins meet the Simpsons, hanging out with his old summer camp buddies, Kang and Kodos. So the butt of a few jokes of Family Guy over the years, the Griffins officially had a crossover which put the two families together called The Simpsons Guy. Now, The Simpsons has been on air for 34 years, so here's where I need to add a couple more rules, unfortunately. 1, I'm going to omit Treehouse of Horror as this is more scary stories than actual canon events. 2, the recent crossovers with Disney are also not going to be included. These I believe are just more stories than canon. It's hard to say with The Simpsons in general, but I think that's a good spot for those. These are just side stories, kind of like Treehouses of Horror. And 3, for most of these, since they're just quick cameos, I'm not going in depth with their connecting shows unless they're also tied to the universe. So that's the rule I was talking about earlier. I'm only going one layer in, not like 5 layers in. So the first show that connects is Cheers, with Homer goes to the Cheers bar when he is banned from Moe's Tavern and sees the same cast from the show. Now, he doesn't interact with any of them, but this means that Cheers is actually connected within that universe. It's kind of the same with The Critic. Jay Sherman from The Critic actually appears in several episodes of The Simpsons, with the most notable being when he judged a film festival. Mulder and Scully from The X-Files also interview Homer when he thinks he has seen an alien. That just turns out to be Mr. Burns. And then in Duckman, Homer scares Duckman and Cornfeed in order to steal their donuts, which makes perfect sense. And then in Hey Arnold, Sideshow Bob appears on a wanted poster in Hey Arnold. And I know I said I wasn't going to include things from photos or anything, but this was my one exception. I honestly just thought it was kind of hilarious that Hey Arnold is connected to The Simpsons, which ultimately brings it into the Family Guy verse. And if I'm being honest with you, I didn't believe it, but here's your proof. There you go. That is Sideshow Bob in Hey Arnold's universe. So it almost kind of makes sense if you look at their art styles, but you know, if you guys don't think that one should count, that's fine. You can ditch that. I just thought it was fun to include. Okay, and here's Hey Arnold, where it connects. Then in The Prisoner, Homer meets number 6 on the island, imprisoned for inventing the bottomless peanut bag, and takes his raft to escape. Then we can go to 24, where Bart actually calls Jack Bauer, who is currently in a gun battle, turning it into a prank call in typical Bart Simpson fashion. The Simpsons also connects us very well to Bob's Burgers, where Bob sells Homer and Peter burgers, with Peter asking why are there 2 prices for burgers, and Bob saying it's an Emmy winner discount, which, you know, Family Guy doesn't have any Emmys. The Simpsons also connects us to Rick and Morty. So this one is kind of tentative for me, at least. Rick and Morty are part of a Simpsons opening sequence where they actually kill the Simpsons, and the Simpsons are cloned by Rick, and it goes horribly wrong, and Bart says no more guest animators. I wouldn't count this, except Stewie actually uses Rick's portal gun and directly says they steal plenty from us. So I'm gonna put it in. Let me know what you guys think. Is this a mistake as well as the next show we can talk about having tie-ins to Rick and Morty, which is actually, as hilarious as it is, Gravity Falls. Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls is seen in a Loki hallucination as an alternate form of Loki. Now, a Loki is canon to The Simpsons, so I'm not sure if this warrants a direct connection to Family Guy. However, Gravity Falls is connected to Rick and Morty through the multiverse, and with this being the case, you could look at this version of Bill as just being part of the multiverse. And since Loki's whole thing in his television show is a multiverse where there's multiple Lokis, I think we can kind of connect this. Also, Disney owns all this crap now, so I think it could all just go in, to be honest with you. I'm gonna count it, but let me know if you think this is wrong. But that does lead us into our next major show that we definitely can't count, Futurama. So The Simpsons and Futurama have a straight up crossover. However, Futurama also ties in directly with Family Guy, with Bender making official cameos during Brian and Stewie's adventures. Tying in through Futurama, we can go down to Disenchantment, with Fry, Bender, and the Professor make a cameo in a hologram made by a crystal ball. Now, this ball shows events that have happened, which means Futurama is canon to the Disenchantment and connects to the universe. So I think Disenchantment may actually be one of the apocalyptic universes that we see in episodes of Futurama. But through Futurama, we can actually also connect in Adventure Time with Finn and Jake. And we can do this because Finn and Jake appear locked in a castle by Mom, and Bender tells them to shut up. So one of their Finn and Jake's adventures brought them to the Futurama universe. But with that, we finally reached the end for The Simpsons. And with that, we reached the end for The Simpsons, and we can move on to less than direct connections. These are connections that kind of are definitely meet the criteria, but they're not as much in the universe as I would say the rest of these shows prior to this have been. So Drawn Together connects to the Family Guy universe because Peter and Lois cameo in Drawn Together, with Peter actually donating money. The Family Circus, which is a long-running comic, Brian straight up talks with a character from the Family Circus sitting at a dog park. I believe it was the dad. We can connect House to this universe because Dr. House straight up cameos in Family Guy as Carter Pewterschmidt's doctor. He actually punches him in the face. Then we get Nightmare on Elm Street, where Quagmire and Joe pay Freddy Krueger to tell Peter a joke that makes him poop his pants. Pinocchio, because Jiminy Cricket is actually shown to be Peter's conscience, and spoiler alert, it doesn't go well for Jiminy. Peter Griffin then appears in Border Town, where he goes to the Border Town house before realizing that he was in the wrong show, and he pulls up and then drives away. So it's kind of sad that maybe these shows should interact more in the future, but you know, we'll see if that ever happens. So then we have the Orville, where the Orville's ship actually appears in an episode of Family Guy. Peter is seen sitting on the couch laughing with the duo of Beavis and Butthead. And then we have Daria, where Joe hits on Daria in a flashback story where she shoots him down, but that may not exactly be canon because it was a flashback. So I don't know. The main character interacts with straight up the main character, so I'm going to kind of throw this one in here too. It also may not belong, but you can let me know what mistakes I make down below. And then to top everything else off, to make this universe even scarier, Stewie straight up talks to Annabelle in the Griffin's attic, where the doll walks away. So that is definitely the Annabelle doll. But with that, guys, I also need to give a couple of honorable mentions. I made this and then went back and I had at least a few that I thought I needed to include. So the Pink Panther from the Pink Panther cartoon does interact with Brian and Stewie, but I wasn't sure if I should include that as canon, because also interacting with Brian and Stewie and multiple members of the family is like the entire Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe. So I think that should, but the Pink Panther is not part of that universe, but so I think he probably makes it into the canon. The whole Hanna-Barbera verse, honestly, is a video unto itself. So if you guys would like to see me do that one day, please drop comments down below. As well as one show that I missed, because at the time of filming this, I did not know it existed. It is actually the King of Queens. So the King of Queens is also canon to the Family Guy universe through the main actor who actually appears as himself in the verse, but he starred on the King of Queens. So the King of Queens is a show within the Family Guy universe. I just want to throw that out there. I didn't forget about it. It just didn't quite make the criteria for actually showing up. But Kevin James does show up in one of the newer episodes of Family Guy. But that's it, guys. That is all the shows that I could directly connect to the Family Guy. I'm going to post the picture that I was using to show all the connectionness onto my Instagram, Alex.Boyette1. If you guys want that photo, please feel free to go on over there and take it for yourself. Please go down to the comment section below and let me know what all you guys think I got right, what do you guys think I got wrong, what do you guys think I missed, and can we make this universe even bigger? Because to be honest with you, we really could. The Simpsons almost deserves its own cameo universe in itself. And so lumping all these together was kind of a challenge. That's why I had to put some pretty strict rules down. But you guys let me know how I did in those comments, and while you're down there, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you never miss another video from me, and I will see you guys in the next video.